Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Fat Muscle Project podcast. I'm John Gorman, your host. That is PHAT. And if you're old like us from the 90s, you understand that's pretty hot and tempting. We've got Jeff Black in the house. Jeff, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good, my man. How are you doing today?
I am doing good. So, for those people who aren't familiar with you, we've done a lot of business together, man. You and I over the last decade, whether it's me speaking at
Yes,
your
sir.
events, you coming to my events, being on panels, just everything in between, both being part of New Ethics, the
Yes,
whole
sir.
9 yards. I wanted to give people a real quick intro to you because you're a gym owner, you're an entrepreneur, you're a published author, you're a mental health toughness badass, literally one of the most mentally tough people that I know. And you've got a lot of big things going on, man. For people that aren't familiar with you, if you could give a real quick kind of 30-second breakdown of who you are and what you've got going on.
I'll just do ASL 44 male Nashville. No. You did a good one there. I own Iron House Strength and Conditioning in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a lot like you, just a solo trainer. I don't have coaches with me anymore. I wrote a book talking about my journey with my brittle bone disease and how I got into bodybuilding and ultimately went through a lot of mental health stuff. I wanted to give people a transparent view that life is just picking up a lot of broken glass when you get older and it's putting it back together. And it's just constant work and it's not always beautiful and perfect like the endings are. So, with that being said, every day I get to live what I love doing, and that's helping others. And I can't see anything else I'd rather do, John, and I've been fortunate enough to do it.
Yeah, man. The cool thing I get to watch with you is you're not somebody that stays the same, right? Like you're always someone that continues to challenge yourself, to get better, to learn new ways to do things. But just from a business perspective, you're just growing year over year, and it's just really impressive. So we have a lot of coaches that listen to the show, a lot of people that do what we do. We've got a special topic to talk about today because you have started to train Drew McIntyre of WWE fame. I've been following Drew for a long time. His story of getting released from the WWE, going on the independents into places like TNA to reinvent himself and his physique. So, I'm very interested in the business of professional wrestling, but part of that's bodybuilding, right? Because we're all bodybuilders, whether you're competitive or just a physique enhancement guy. So you have linked up with him and you started doing a lot of cool stuff. So that's what the show is about today. I think I would just want to kick this off with, dude, how this whole thing come together? How did you and Drew meet?
So, our good friend Matt Chrisman, he actually worked on Drew.
Mm,
And so when Matt comes up and sees me, because we're bros and we'll hang out for weekends, and I'll
yeah.
go down to Tampa. And one weekend, Drew hit him up and he was here, and Drew came over and picked him up, and we got to meet him. I chatted with him for a little bit and told him what I did. And because he's like, "Oh, you're big." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, man. Coming from a guy like you, I'll take that compliment." So we kind of like hit it off initially, just kind of chatting, like, and just the vibe. Fast forward a few months later, he had messaged Matt some stuff, and I kind of answered it for him and was like, "Yeah, it's kind of what I was think I would do." And this was if you watched his feud with CM Punk, and this is the part of wrestling that was impressed me to see behind the scenes. Is look, there is an entertainment component, but you cannot deny the extreme athletic stuntmen like shit that these guys do. And
Yeah.
it is like a car crash over and over and over in a mat, and their nervous systems are so wrecked. So he was kind of going through that feud and kind of starting to just get broken down. And it ultimately ended him taking some time away to kind of heal up and recover the 18 staples in his head and so forth. And that's when we linked up. He had messaged Matt and said, "Hey, let me have Jeff's number. I want to chat with him." And him and I met. I went over to his house. We chatted for 3 hours. Dude, when he first hit me up to do it, I didn't sleep probably for first 2 nights because I was like, holy shit, is this out of my league? No, it's not out of my league. All right, well, how the hell am I going to do it? I don't know. I got to start thinking, and like by the time I walked in, I had a game plan, and it hinged on everything I had watched his last 20 matches. And I'd really talked to him about, like, hey, look, I have this rare bone disease. The reason I'm the guy to help you is because I'm going to look at those problems with the way I would approach it for me wanting my pro card myself.
Yeah.
So it's all out effort. It's going to be weird shit, weird ways. I told him about my spine. I showed him my MRI, and I'm like, dude, I avoided 4 surgeries. I don't know. I mean, I kind of can look at things and understand it now. And so he really liked that. And we went through just the first session together, and I kind of just started picking things apart. And from there, that's kind of where it went off, man.
Yeah, something interesting, your experience is going to be way different from mine, right? So,
Right.
a lot of times people don't realize you can take these things that you've been through, the ways that you've learned how to, get around your condition that you've had to deal with literally your whole life to make big things happen, to win, pro cards and win classes in bodybuilding and to grow muscle and to get lean and like overcome obstacles, right? So like when these guys are going through very tough, like people talk about football. Well, football players play like, I mean, they practice, but they play 1 day a week. These guys are hitting these house show loops and things of this nature, and they're
Yeah.
going hard. Like that feud with Punk, like, dude, I would hate to be Phil, who's CM Punk. I would hate to be him because, dude, Drew, like the how hard they went, and that's just what we saw on TV. I don't know if they did any of that stuff on house shows. I can imagine his CNS was just completely in the shitter. So is that where it was? And you having this history yourself, you're able to turn your experience into something very valuable where someone like me is not going to be able to go in there and help him the same way.
Right. And that's what it was. I just explained to him, like, hey, buddy, the reason this is non-responsive is your nervous system's tapped out.
Yeah.
It is just shot. And I kind of explained it to him. So there was a fall he sustained, and I showed it to him because I said, look, I said, give me a kick. He couldn't even give me a kick. And it was because his adductors were locked down, which is usually a signal that your lower back is sustained a trauma. The only way I know that is because when I broke my back, I couldn't figure out why my adductors were locked until I went down this massive dive and got to the fifth chiropractor who just so happened to know that's what it was. And I was
Yeah.
like, huh. So it was just okay. And they gave me some stretches that worked. So I started working with Drew. And that was a lot of it was getting him to breathe. Like when we first started working, dude, his breath was so all over the place. To get him to do a vacuum was like watching him like just trying to poop. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
intense. Like, a lot of that, man. And you're right. People don't understand that, you're just hitting a turnbuckle. Yeah, that's still a hit to your nervous system. You're getting a chop across your chest. You're having to remember your lines. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
And I think that it just speaks to how burned out that nervous system could get from all that work. And then it's like you said, how often is it off? It's way more on than off.
Yeah. So when he came to you, and you started to devise a plan, what were some of the first things that you really started to implement? Did you guys immediately get into the gym? Was it more recovery based? Like what were your kind of your first steps? And when was,
So
by the way, what time of year?
say we linked up in June. So it was right after the Staples
Yeah.
and that or the Damian Priest feud. It was right after that.
Yeah.
We had linked up. We had little right under about 6.5 weeks to SummerSlam is what we had. The first thing was he's one of them assholes. He was just eating whatever he wanted. So the first thing we did was like he was sending me pictures of what he ate, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't gonna fucking work." So I'm like, I built him out his diet, and I started him at 5,000 calories. He's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, well, if my eyes are pretty correct with the shit that you eat, I think you're about 4,500 of dirt. So I think 5,000 clean is going to be about good. And he just started changing. And so the diet was one thing. But when it came to how I attacked him with the workout, um, I went totally into watching how he did movement. So I did basic bro bodybuilding stuff. I approached it
Yeah.
lower A, and then I did a push pull, a lower B, and then I did arms like chest touch up, things like that. Our workouts are about almost 2 hours, of which 30 to 45 minutes of it's mobility work,
Yeah.
and foam rolling and things like that. He's 6'6", and he's walking around at 280, 285 at night. So it takes a lot to get that
Yeah.
moving. And it co-opts the nervous system. So I went on that one, John. I went real basic. I just watched his form and I would look and I'd be like, it doesn't look right. Where do you feel that? I feel this here. Okay, let's change this and that. And that's something I think a lot of trainers need to kind of open their eyes to is talking to your clients when you're setting them up on these exercises and be like, what hurts, what feels right, where are you feeling that, da 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 da. Because you'll find that you can just change little variables and the movement becomes so much better. Just the way I've had to adjust like cable crosses for him, for example,
Yeah.
for chest. So I approached it very bro. I put all his reps 12 to 15. We do like rep match, occasional rest pause, but nothing as far as like hard recovery. Hits very minimal right now. I'll get into more of that. But in terms of the training, dude, I would train him like you would probably love to train.
Yeah. You know what's interesting talking about if we go back to the diet, doing what we do, I put people on stage. So when I see someone's physique change, I'm not, if I see it without even looking for it, if I spot it, it's just
Yeah.
what we're trained to do, right? So, probably here in the last month or so, anytime I've seen his physique, immediately I noticed he was leaner. He looked leaner and more muscular. So I'm assuming the change in the diet, you clean that up, that probably helped drop inflammation. It probably helped him really get all the nutrients that he was eating, processed, and he just became a machine. Because I mean, when you're 285 pounds, like 5,000 calories, and you're very lean, like he's just a metabolic machine. So anyway, I started to notice. Now I know. Now that you've kind of showed me what you were doing, now I see. Okay, it wasn't just my eyes deceiving me. Like you immediately improved his look on TV, which for these guys is a big deal, right? Because that's
Yeah,
that's
100%.
how that's how you stand out. On the diet end, how tough is that when he's traveling and things of that nature to kind of stick to?
So, what we do is for like SummerSlam, it was all out effort. My wife and my daughter had to help cook some meals with his wife to kind of get them all ready to go because we were there
Yeah,
for 5 days.
yeah,
Um, it is a lot of just preparation. It's no different than what a pro bodybuilder would. It's no different than anyone who has a serious physique goal and is serious about their performance. That's what most people don't get. I have to balance this with him because he has a performance he has to do, and these things can go anywhere 20, 30 minutes, where it's a sustainable demand, plus on top of everything else. So, packing and things like that, it's just being prepared. It's just knowing, like, okay, these are the foods that do not disturb his gut. These are the foods that allow him to move along and feel good. We haven't had to use any meal prep organizations yet, but we've had a few. But otherwise, it's pretty much been he's preferred to do his own cooking. He's taken it seriously where he bought a big Yeti and he just tapes the son of a bitch and throws it in, has a checked luggage and takes it with him. And that's how he's treated it. And that is completely different than the other wrestlers I've seen backstage.
yeah, yeah. A lot of people are, they're eating out constantly, and I mean,
Dude,
there's
the
ways to
catering
do
was
that.
so good looking, John. I'm
Yeah.
not even gonna lie. The fat boy me in the off season was like eyeing it when I was there. I was like, damn, no wonder these guys are thick. I'd be eating this shit all the time too.
Yeah. And, for someone like him, as I said, going back to the intro, seeing him reinvent himself, I can see, and I don't know the guy, but just hearing this, I can see him taking his food everywhere in a cooler like a professional bodybuilder would, because he's always been that type of person that when it's time to reinvent himself or to improve, the dude always does it. So like he's going to do that where most people aren't. They're going to wing it, they're going to swing by, they're not going to get the results that they want. So me, I'm a diet nerd. I love hearing that side of it. On the training side, I know there's trainings, there's supplement. Before the show started, you said you wanted to talk about things like sleep and some prehab work. So if you want to talk about that, go ahead.
So like, this is a big one. For example, his sleep can be very disrupted from where the travel is, the different time zones and stuff like that. So we'll use like Cordy's.
Yeah.
We'll use melatonin kind of heavy on the first night, like when you get somewhere like at 20 milligrams, just to really kind of like get his sleep cycle set.
Yeah.
The week of SummerSlam, him and I were going on 5 hours every night. So that just is what that is. So what that meant was our training was different, and I pivoted to a lot of mobility work and cardio work as I filled him up and out for his performance at SummerSlam, so that way he could be sustained for the match. Um, Sleep is something that he didn't really prioritize till we got together, got him an Aura ring. I think that if you're a coach and you're working with anyone on a high-end athlete, that the moment they start seeing some of their scores and start asking questions, it's almost like they'll be a little bit more intrigued to kind of go down the road on these various things. I used for example, a Garmin heart rate monitor, John, and I was having wear it just all day. And I was just like, just curious to see what it looks like. And that allowed me to kind of figure out like a caloric burn for the man,
Yeah.
and kind of get some ideas. So anyway, we worked on all that. That is something that is even not even perfect for him. So we've just had to make sure we've balanced out the training and the cardio loads and demands. Now, in terms of his like prehab work, that's kind of like a step out of rehab. So it's like an area where you're not rehabbing the motion, but you're trying to basically prevent an injury.
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time like doing end of range motion things, a lot of cars for the hips, shoulders, elbows. We were basically taking the joint through maximum amount of space slowly over time and like the pattern it's meant to. So for his hips, they were really tight down, and that was from all the jumps off of the ring, the tables, the
Yeah.
mats. He can actually do kicks he couldn't do 10 or 15 years ago now. And that was just really kind of getting those joints loose. He had thought he was kind of screwed up when we got together, John. It was pretty
Yeah.
interesting. He's like, I just don't want to get any more hurt than what I am. I'm like, what do you mean? And we had to kind of, I'm like, I don't think you're hurt. I think your just body just needs a lot of talking to. And that's something like I explained to him with my injury. Your nervous system, if you think of it as Venom from the Marvel movies, makes life easier. You have to talk to it. You
Yeah.
have to like really slow down and work through these like pre-existing injuries and work your way back out. So we spend a lot of his off days doing prehab stuff, like his neck. He's got like I think 8 herniations
Yeah.
in his upper neck area. So he does like so a lot of neck stuff. And then we do a lot of stuff for his knees, like step downs, and a lot of tibialis anterior and calf stuff. One area of odd thing, John, and this is a little hack for anyone who's out there. If you look at people and they have lower back pain and you look at their butt, it's usually very flat, or sometimes they'll have interior
Yep.
pelvic tilt. His feet were totally screwed up, so we do a lot of feet work. We do a lot of feet exercises. He trains barefoot and he wears toe spacers at night while he sleeps to kind of like reset that patterning. And from that, him working on that big toe, if you guys look, his butt is getting bigger, and I'm pretty proud of that more than anything.
Yeah, I love that, man. And speaking of, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to share a picture here. This is a picture of you and him backstage. And the reason why I want to bring this picture up, you did a really good job on the carb up side of things. I wanted to get a little nerdy on that real quick. So, talk about this picture, where it's at, and if you would talk about the carb up process. Because for those people watching on YouTube, if you see this is the best I've seen Drew look in quite a while. And this is where I noticed like he was muscular, filled out, really lean, and he moved really well in the ring. So if you would talk about that carb up.
So, for anyone who follows wrestling, there was a little thing that went on the week before where he was stuck overseas. That was actually true.
Yeah.
We were not able to link up, so hence that's why my wife and my daughter jumped in and helped cook the meals along with his wife because it was a big
Yeah.
delay. So, with that being said, he had missed about 6 meals over Monday and Tuesday, combined with a little bit of just I want to say like a cold, a little bit of food poisoning. He thought something like that. So that was a Sunday, Monday. We linked up Tuesday, at which point, when I saw him, I saw he was a watery mess, stressed out. I went,
Yeah.
shit. All right. So I said, here's what we're doing. We're going to go ahead and we're feeding you carbs. And we're going to go ahead and ramp this up. And I just figured I called it right. He had flattened out. Because what happened was during the workout, I watched him just start mutating. And I was like, okay, here we go. This is what I'm seeing. I had already started pushing carbs and stuff like that on him. So Wednesday, I went with 700 carbs. Thursday, I went with 800. Friday, we were right around 1280 to 1330 in there. And that was no, that was Saturday's number. Sorry. I had him full. I did it all the way on Saturday, and then he had 8 Rice Krispie treats on top of that. Friday was like eight something. So it
Yeah.
was a seven, two eights, and then it was like a 13 plus 8 Rice Krispie treats.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, like a lot of people don't realize they think, man, I would just get fat or I would look awful with that. He was so depleted, but his cortisol was high. So these carbs are knocking cortisol down,
Correct. It's
right?
dropping his water off of him, flushing them. And the other thing is this, I run lower fat with him right now
Yeah.
because of the phase we're in. So his fats never get above 85.
Yeah.
And that's where I can really crank the carbs. So what we're
Yep.
doing is, you know, well enough as I know that if you manipulate the carbs like in your pre-workout meal window, your intra, your post, and you
Yep.
just train in a anaerobic and type state where you're really pushing a glycolytic fuel workout, you're able to kind of push through those carbs pretty decently and keep allowing the person to just become a furnace. And that's the goal.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously that picture that I showed, like he looked really, really good there. Um, I'm sure he probably appreciated that. I don't know how much, how much he's done stuff like this before in the past.
Never. He hasn't done anything. Like I'm like was blown away by it. I said, "What do you mean you've never done anything?" And he's like, "I mean, maybe I prepared like some chicken meals, but that's about it." Like he's like,
Yeah.
"If I wanted a cheeseburger, I'd have a cheeseburger."
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, he's a very advanced athlete. So, like, you can tell how hard this guy's worked for decades to build his physique. So, I'm excited to see you guys really continue to dial this in. He made a post on Instagram. He was standing there and he said, "This isn't even my final form." And that made me smile because then I saw a video of you guys, like, he was doing some dumbbell presses.
Yep.
You were helping him. And I'm like, oh man, this is about to get good. Like, I think this is that missing component that guys like him, if they can get someone like you to partner with, that's in their corner with them, no matter what happens. If they're fucking delayed overseas, you're there helping make fucking food. Like that's the kind of team member that you want, right? So I can see how this is really going to help, take him to the next level, especially as, I mean, he's not old. Do you know how old he is off the top of your
He's
head?
40, just turned 40. He's on
Okay.
a 3-year contract. And we kind of have our 3-year to reign thing, and we go 3 YTR. That's like our little model. So he's all in on the 3 years of just going to bring back like that old school wrestler physique that we kind of grew up on. We've been working on our vision of what we want for WrestleMania. He's improved his VO2 max a good amount over the past few weeks, but by WrestleMania, don't be surprised if that man's got a striated lower back and abs chiseled out of him that people have never seen before, because it's going to be a very interesting look we bring for him.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting because you see guys that, they're up into their 40s doing some, AJ
Mhm.
Styles is my age, right? Like he's 48 years old. And
Yes.
you feel these, Punk's our age, right? He's getting up there. Drew can be a different beast.
Yes.
He might, we haven't seen like a physique that just blows you away. I mean, I know Lesnar's big, but Batista looked like a freak show. Lesnar's a freak, but Batista looked like a freak show.
Correct.
I can see Drew looking like a freak show. Like he already looks great, but I can just see, by WrestleMania, that's going to be exciting because at the end of the day, like I said, this is all bodybuilding to guys like us. So it's exciting to watch these athletes kind of transform.
It is, and I'll touch on this, just because him and I have already talked about it, because it's the way it just is out there anymore. He put on 10 pounds in the 6.5 weeks with me while leaning out. And where his contract is with the WWE, I'm gonna burst everyone's bubble. That man can't take anything fun. He can't even use 90% of my brain. So it literally leads where I have to be very creative with his supplements, his nutrition, rest, recovery. You actually have to do old school shit. This is like these guys are tested to the WADA, Olympic standards. John, I actually got my best compliment ever as a coach. As we were walking into some SmackDown the night before SummerSlam, he had to take a piss test. So it's kind of like it's just a standard. And I know the internet always says it's something it's not, but I can assure you he's just got those elite genetics. It's like watching a Derrick Henry. I saw Tim Tebow at D1 way back in the day do his workout. You're just seeing the best of the best. I'm just lucky enough to be around like what, a top 10 wrestler in the world,
Yeah.
and kind of get eyes on it. And it's been very, very interesting.
Yeah, and you combine elite genetics with elite work ethic because there's no
Correct.
doubt whatsoever this guy does not have one of the best work ethics out there.
He does.
And man, the sky's the limit. But you touched on something that I want our listeners to think about. You're really focusing on the basics, right? Because
Correct.
I think a lot of people, those aren't sexy, they're not fun, or they've been doing them forever, or maybe they're not doing them as well as they can. Someone like you comes in, you go back to the foundation and you maximize and you make all those great. And he puts on 10 pounds and gets leaner in 6 weeks. I mean, that right there shows you, the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, it's one of those when you go all in on it and you say, I'm going to control every variable possible, and you don't even eat one meal out. That's what I'm saying. It's a lot. I mean, so when he got stranded over at London, we had to find the meals that would kind of get it to him, dude. I
Yeah.
was on Google sitting up links and stuff like, try this one, try this one. Like, it's just that was how committed he was not to missing. And I'll be honest, I don't know if I would have gone through all that effort myself. And I'm a person who says, "Wow, I really want it." So for me as the coach to step back and go, "God damn, he really wants it." You know what I mean? Like, woof. It's impressive, and that's when people talk about that separator shit. That's exactly what that is.
Yeah. 100%. Any closing thoughts, man? Anything you want to talk about? Anything exciting that you guys have coming up that you're going to be doing together that you can talk about? I mean, I don't want to peel the curtain back too much here, but anything fun coming up over the next, I don't know, couple few months?
So I know I've got some travel in there with him, like the big ones. We do a 1 hour warm up. So on Friday nights, on mat nights, he actually wrestles. I will not doing promo stuff. I'll be on voice notes or FaceTime with him, putting him through his warm up before the match.
Yeah.
I go do that stuff for him. That's actually about an hour. Like when I tell everybody, it just takes a while to warm up. At 40 years old, that's like something where he wants to extend his career. We have a goal that he is not going to be walking around on a walker, crutches, or a wheelchair at these wrestling cons when he's
Yeah.
60 years old.
Yeah.
So we're really trying to make sure that he's just reinventing himself foundationally in the mobility stuff. So we've been working on that. As far as where our eyes kind of go, it's the bringing a version of Drew that no one's ever seen for WrestleMania, and we do have some stuff that we're going to do together out there. I know he's starting to work on kind of his brand more. He really wants to kind of motivate other males and other people in general and wrestling fans to kind of get out there and work out and take care of themselves. So I look forward to seeing more content from him. I'll put it to you like that.
Yeah, his social media is pretty awesome. He does a good job of blurring the lines, making people wonder what's real and what's not. Little controversial stuff. You know, the picture he posted back in the day when he was feuding with Punk, he posted a picture with Jack Perry, which I thought was awesome, which is one of the reasons Punk got fired from AEW. But we're not going to turn this to a wrestling gossip
No, I
podcast,
know.
but I love watching the character work of these guys. They have fun with it. He seems like a really good guy. I saw a picture. I don't know who he's working with, but it looked like maybe some kids with disability or something of
Yes,
that
he does a
nature.
lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of these guys do. So, I mean, very, very cool. I do, real quick before we leave, I want to talk about the backstage pump up because I'm a bro, train bodybuilders for a living. So, is there anything fun that you're doing with that? I remember back in the day, Lex Luger used to go ahead and have some Reese's peanut butter cups and pump up and
Yeah.
go out there. But we pump people up for bodybuilding shows. You step on stage, right? Did you pull any of that from our world and help with the
Yes.
pump up?
Yep. So for Saturday night main event where he made his comeback,
Yeah.
and then for SummerSlam, we have done 8 Rice Krispie treats, 3 grams of salt, a pump product, and a lot of band work and body weight isometric holds and posing after we do the mobility work to get him to look like that on stage. So it's 100% my bodybuilding pump up stuff and my knowledge come to look, but it gives him that 3D look. And if you guys watch when he wrestles, he actually gets bigger and harder as the match goes on. And he starts getting more intense because he gets more energy. That's by design. I also figured out his digestion now, so it's about an hour for maximum. But dude, he's open to anything. It was fun. I remember I was like, "You're gonna do these teaspoons of salt." He's like, "What?" And I was like, "Just trust me. Just shoot the salt,
Yeah.
chase the water. You'll be fine." And then he was like, "Oh my God!" As he was getting pumped, I was like, "Yes, sir." Yes, sir. So the trick is we can't pump him too much. You can't wrestle, but it's all about the visual look. And if there's one thing I've learned to respect about Drew, it's the athlete and the level and the gears that he's willing to go to make sure that this character comes to life to the best of his ability that he could give. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I love that you're helping with the pump up portion because I remember at WrestleMania, it was last year. The Rock came out and he wrestled on Saturday with Roman against Cody and Seth. And I watched The Rock's physique because he has such a great physique. Here's what I noticed. He was flat. And by the way, it's not a dig at people. Like sometimes you just have people
Uh,
helping you that they're old school. They're cutting your water, cutting your salt, and all this stuff. In the bodybuilding world, we understand what helps you pump up, right?
yep.
So I saw him come out and I immediately looked at my friends and I was like, guys, he's flat. He's small. Like, this is not like he's got somebody helping him do all the things that don't work, right? By the time
Yeah.
night two rolls around, he's ate more food, he's had more water and salt, and he came out on night two and looked fucking huge out there. And so I was trying to like help my friends understand, but I definitely noticed like he had something going on when he came back because that pump up really worked, man. So it's just another parallel of what we've learned in bodybuilding and how it applies, right?
100%, and that's a look that he wanted to have, and I think it's only going to get better, man. I mean, he's so untapped, John. Like we've talked about, like just between the supplements, he wasn't even taking creatine very consistently. Like I mean, it's just stuff like that, and uh, like I said, I think people over the next few years are going to be really impressed with what he puts together.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, he stays injury free, which is our goal. Can't
Yeah.
help what happens in the ring, but we do our best everywhere else.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I love the business. I'm a fan of his work ethic. Most importantly, I'm a fan of you. I'm a fan of your loyalty to your clients, the things that you bring to the table. So I'm excited to see me knowing you and the type of loyal person you are to stick with him on this. Dude, the sky's the limit, man. So I appreciate you coming on the show and kind of peeling the curtain back on what it takes to be a successful trainer because we don't all get opportunities like this. Like this is a big deal, but you are the absolute right guy for the job. Like you've been through certain things in life, you've learned from those, and now you're in a very unique position to help people like this, man. So it's exciting. It really is.
I really appreciate that, man. Like, we both joked that it was right place, right time, and just the right life experiences to be able to make this work. So, I just wake up every day, and do the best I can for all my clients, and that I treat them like I do anybody else. And I think that that's the one thing he appreciates me most.
Yeah, yeah. Humble, man, to the end. So for myself and Jeff, maybe we'll have you on a future episode. We'll see you guys.
See ya.